Hey everyone, I wanted to discuss a topic today that we're all very familiar with, and it is what do we do when we see somebody who's heading down the wrong path or making a bunch of decisions that we think are going to lead to a poor result. And this quote I've just been really loving lately says, "A fool who persists in his folly will eventually become wise." And this just explains that, hey, sometimes people need to have that experience. They need to go through the process of whatever negative or challenging thing that's going to result from those choices to see, oh, hey, maybe next time I'll choose something different. Or maybe there's some learning that's stuck in that situation that they need to extract out. And you don't know what that is for them. So sometimes it's better just to let a situation play out, even if it's hard to see somebody going through this and making these choices that seemingly are very clearly going to cause some negative actions to result. And I don't know if you think about your own life. I mean, how many times did somebody tell you, hey, this is a bad choice, or this is probably a choice that's going to create some conflict for you, and you made that choice anyway because there was something inside of you that needed to learn whatever was going to transpire from that situation. And a lot of times, people don't learn best through just somebody telling them something, right? They have to go through that experience. And that's the whole reason why we're in this life together, so that we can have these experiences and see how they play out. It's more of a trial and error than let me just tell you all the rules and you follow them. That's not how life is set up. So it's set up for you to test the boundaries, to see where they are, to see what it's like to be hateful, to see what it's like to be loving, to see what it's like to be accepting, to see what it's like to exclude somebody. And you go through all these actions, and as you gain intelligence and wisdom from those actions, you can move forward in a better way in your life. So if you see somebody who is, being a fool, which I think it could be said, a person who pursues their folly will eventually become wise, to allow them the space to seek that wisdom. And the seeking of the wisdom may appear very difficult and challenging, but sometimes that is what has to occur. And you have to also absolve yourself of any sort of judgment based on your non-action. Sometimes you get to a point where you've told someone till you're blue in the face that this is going to go wrong, or you should do this or that, and they don't make that choice. And then you sometimes will beat yourself up over that and say, oh my gosh, if I had only done X, Y, or Z, then that person wouldn't have had that big fall. But no, that person, if that occurred, then that needed to occur for that learning. And sometimes, as hard as this might be to take, that the learning may be absorbed after the death of that person. So, I'm not saying that this will be a common scenario, but sometimes, people's choices lead to the end of their life. And if that happens, then during that end of life review and the period that they are a spirit, they can reflect on those choices and they will learn in that way. Most of us are learning throughout life, but that's also another way that we can learn. So you have to absolve yourself of those feelings of regret or other things if something went wrong and you thought maybe you hadn't done enough. But really that person had to go through that experience to gain the wisdom. And you made the choices, and you can make that choice out of love. If you're making the choice to not assist someone out of love, so that person can explore this and that person can, figure out, what truly is right for their path forward, then, you've done what you could, right? You've sort of held space for them and allowed them this, and you've supported them in the ways you could, but you have to set your own personal boundaries as well, because you don't want to be dragged along with that person, through the mud. So you need to still be cognizant of your own boundaries, so that way, you can make choices in your life that you think are appropriate. If you have somebody who constantly needs money from you, right? You may need to create a boundary and allow that person to explore his or her folly to the end, and maybe they become broke, and maybe they become homeless. Maybe that happens, and that's okay, because you are making that choice out of love. You're not making that choice because, basically that you don't despise that person or something like that, but you realize that this person has learning to accomplish, and it's not going to be done, through you telling them what they should do. I see very few scenarios where someone says, this is exactly what you should do, and that's going to lead you to the best life, and they do that. That's very rare. You have to go through the scenarios yourselves and see how they play out, and then, feel within you, oh, this is how I want to proceed. And a lot of times those hard falls, when somebody hits rock bottom, that's when they really realize what's important in life and how they want to lead their lives. So if you're preventing that person from hitting rock bottom, you're preventing that learning, and you may actually hold them in that hard, difficult space longer by supporting them instead of letting them hit that boundary at the bottom. So, think about that as you have people in your life that are making choices and doing things that you think might be leading down a difficult path. That's okay. That's okay that they do that. That's okay if you don't always help them pick them back up. You don't want to enable somebody to the point where they prevent their learning. So I think that it's an important quote to think about when you see this happening in your life, that sometimes you need to permit the person their folly so that they can gain the wisdom. All right, thanks guys. I'll talk to you later.